Hey everybody, doing a devotion, just a short little thought that I had on my mind today, and I figured I'd share it with a few of you. The thought had to do with just one simple word, and that was balance. I got to thinking about a story that we all know well, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They were getting ready to be thrown into the fiery furnace, as we know well. And they made a statement. They basically said, we believe our God will deliver us, but even if he doesn't, we're still not going to bow. For those of you that are maybe into a hyper faith movement, or maybe you consider yourself to have just great faith, you may read that and wonder, is that maybe a hint of lack of faith? I'm not real sure how you would assess it, but when I read that, one word comes to mind, and that's balance. If there's anything that I've learned through pastoring, and even if I'd never pastored, but especially given that, but just living day to day as I've gotten older, I find that you can look at things in the light of, well, we believe we have faith, but then you realize that there are times that some things are just not God's will. John, that was exiled on the Isle of Patmos for the word of God and the testimony of Jesus Christ, he could have believed that they would never put him in a pot of boiling oil. He could have believed by faith that he would not have to go through a trial to be able to receive such a great word from God. But he did. And I think the older that you get, you begin to realize that there are some things that happen even when you exercise the greatest faith. Now, I know that may not be the most popular thing. Some people may disagree with me, and that's okay. But I think we need to have a balance. And with that said, whether it's preachers that are portraying what's going on all around us right now, or it's people that are sharing loads of information and sometimes misinformation on social media, we all need to remember the word balance. I don't believe any of us ought to freak out and be in total panic and chaos and panic shopping and, criticizing each other about who stays home and who goes to work and who's doing what. I think at day's end we need to use balance, which is having wisdom somewhere in between, that we can say we're exercising faith like the Hebrew boys did. That I believe God, our God, is well capable of keeping us from getting a virus. He's also capable, if we get the virus, from recovering us from the virus. But even if he doesn't, my faith still stands in God. So with that, I'm going to use wisdom. Pastors are using wisdom. I've got some great minister friends of mine that I feel like that they're balanced on the issue. They're not way off in left field somewhere, spending all day long instead of dealing with ministry stuff, complaining about conspiracy theories and all kinds of all over the place weird ideas about where this virus started, and just goofball stuff. But they're spending time, I believe they're spending time with balance, approaching these issues as they come at us. They're telling their people to exercise caution, but just because we exercise caution doesn't mean we don't have faith. Could it possibly be that we got balance? That we're smart enough, we've lived long enough to realize there have been a handful of times that we've prayed and things didn't go the way we wish they would. Let's face it. I heard a great seasoned preacher say something several years ago that stuck with me. If I said his name, some of you would recognize the name, and a lot of people have great confidence in this pastor. He said, as much as I hate to tell you, he said, more people that I've laid hands on have not got healed than did get healed. And that may not be a popular statement, but this man of God was humble enough to admit. Now, here's the thing. That doesn't take away from the times that he did lay hands on people and God did heal them. But God has reasons why that he allows things. And I'm not going to be foolish and charge God, but I'm going to approach this thing with balance. And I think you ought to as well. I think we as a people, God's people, we owe it to ourselves, the people around us, not to be ridiculous, off in the deep end somewhere. We ought to have faith, but at the same time, we ought to have wisdom and discernment. With that, hope that's a blessing to you today. Don't live in total fear, but at the same time, don't just walk around like you're never going to get this just because you're saved. Let me tell you something. There are people that die and will die, have died, and I believe there are some of them that they're going to make heaven their home because they were Christians. So the reality is we need to have balance in our life. May the Lord bless you, and I hope that this is a blessing to you. And if it has been, share it with somebody.